doing today is not new. This is stuff you've learned before. We're just going to go through a different way to write about it or explain it. You may recall months ago when we did those two-column algebra proofs. Do you remember that? You guys were really good at those. You said they were easy. They were worth like 5 points, but it was so easy. You just wrote add POE, subtract POE, divide POE, right? Today, we're going to be proving other things. Now, you don't always have to do a two-column proof. I'm going to do number 1 as a two-column proof. And then if you like that method, you can always do that. My answer keys will often be in two-column proofs with every step. But there's also more than one way to write it out. Because of that, everybody's answers could be different. So like in English class, when your teacher gives you a prompt, everybody's writing is different, but all could be correct. That's how these go. All right, so it might say prove, it might say justify, it might say explain or show that. It all means the same thing. Just kind of explain in your own words how to do it. So number 1, first, draw a picture if one is not provided. Then answer the following. If the measure of angle 1 is 25, let's label that. And the measure of angle PTR, trace out P to T to R, is 60. How do we know? So do not draw this in your picture. I'm going to put a box around it. How do we know that angle 2 is 35? We're going to prove it by showing one small step at a time. Now, because we've just done problems like this, can you guys see in your head without doing much work how we're going to get a 35 here? Easy, right? We're using angle addition postulate, some subtraction in there. That's what we're going to write about. People say all the time, well, why do I have to do that if it's just so obvious? Well, it's obvious for you because you've just been doing it for 2 weeks. You are kind of like writing a paper for somebody on how you know that that's true. Also, I wanted to start with an easy question because they're not always this easy. So that's kind of why we're doing this. Go ahead and make 2 columns, statements and reasons. We're always going to write the given. So we've been told the measure of angle 1 is 25, and the measure of angle PTR, bless you, is 60. Notice I've said nothing about angle 2. I didn't write it or draw it in my picture. That's the end goal. That's like my final statement. Okay, so how are we going to explain or prove angle 2? We're going to talk about angle addition postulate. So I'm going to write down that angle 1 plus angle 2 adds up to angle PTR. Measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 equals measure of angle PTR. Now this little m, we should write it, but I'm not going to take off if you forget it. That just means measure of. If you forget it, not a big deal. We're going to write about what we did. That's called angle addition postulate. You can abbreviate. Please don't abbreviate to AAP. That's a little bit too short. Anybody remember what a postulate is as opposed to a theorem? Alex? You're thinking of a specific postulate. Just in general, what does postulate mean versus what's theorem? Remember the word conjecture. What do you think?
A postulate is a statement that is accepted as true.
Yes, it's accepted as true without proof. A theorem, however, has been proven. Somebody did one of these big long proofs, way longer than what we would do, and it's become a theorem. A postulate is just accepted as true. There's never been a proof for it because it's a basic idea. A conjecture is just a guess based off a pattern. It may or may not be true. Okay. Now that we have an equation, let's see if we can put some numbers in there. Do you have any information in your proof about how big angle 1 is?
25.
Didn't we just say right here? Yeah, it's 25. So what you're going to do is instead of saying angle 1, you're going to say, oh yeah, that was 25. You're just going to plug that number right in there. Copy angle 2. We're pretending we don't know how big that is yet. Have we stated how big angle PTR is?
60.
Yeah, we did. It's 60. So we just write substitution. Please don't abbreviate because then it might look like subtraction. Our goal is to explain, justify, prove angle 2 is 35. Is there any way I could get angle 2 all by itself on this side? Right, just subtract 25. Let's do that. Subtract 25 on both sides. And write about what you did. What's that called?
Okay.
Yes, good. Subtraction. POE. Property of equality. Meaning it's okay if I subtract 25 on this side, but I have to do it to both sides to keep that thing equal. Questions? This is a 2-column proof. You can do this, or you can just kind of write about it in paragraph form, or however you like to organize your thoughts, you can do that. Let's look at number 2. If P is between Q and R, blank and blank and blank, how do we know X equals 4? Let's box in. How do we know X equals 4? We are not going to write about 4 till the end. Please, on your own, draw a picture. Now, on the test, it would have said solve for X. You would have done a bunch of work. You would have gotten 4, and you would be done. Today, I'm kind of telling you the answer, and you're saying, oh, this is how you get there. Does anybody want to give a guess on what theorem or definition or formula we would be using for this problem? Midpoint formula? Pythagorean theorem? No? What are we using? Segment addition postulate. Yeah, let's say because of segment addition postulate, we know well, think about what you know. You know that this segment added to this segment gives you the whole thing. We know QP plus PR equals QR. We're going to substitute next, right? We just write now substitute, or substitute your information, or something like that. Maybe next substitute. Now, are you thinking about what you're doing, or are you just copying numbers from the board? Yeah, You shouldn't have to really copy. Look at your paper. What's QP? Write it down. What's PR? Write it down. What's Q? Write it down. Are we just going to solve for X now? Yeah, let's go ahead. Just write down solve, or maybe get X by itself. How about that? Get X by itself. You can do your algebra on your own. You don't have to write out every step, combine like terms, add POE. Just go ahead and get X by itself. Would this be a good stopping point, showing X is 4? How do we know X is 4? Exactly this. That would be good. Any questions on number 2? Okay, let's try 3. If ray FL bisects angle AFM and blank, how do we know? So this is what we're not going to write about till the end. How do we know angle LFM is 70? I'll give you some time to draw your picture. Tell me what to do next. They are. So they are the same, they just don't have the same number yet. That would be like if you said X plus 5 and I said, you said 10 plus 2 and I said 11 plus 1. That's the same thing, just written different ways. It's kind of what's happening there. Okay. I haven't done anything so far except for draw what it tells me. Now I'm trying to think, how am I going to get LFM to be 70? I started this vocab word. Do you think that word is important in solving this question? Yes. Bisect means cut into 2 equal parts. So I would draw and then talk about it. I would say, okay, bisect means this angle is exactly matching that angle. So I'm going to write bisect means I'm not going to give the definition. I'm going to apply it to this problem. Bisect means angle AFL. You can say equal or congruent. Is congruent or the same as angle LFM. I am not actually going to need angle addition postulate because I'm not trying to add those up to get a big angle. I've been told that they are matching. They are equal. So I say they are equal or congruent. Now substitute. AFL, substitute that in. LFM, substitute that in. Congruent means equal, so you can just flip-flop those symbols however you want. What will we do now? What are we doing?
Get X minus
Yeah,
seven.
solve for x, get x by itself. Go ahead and do that on your own. Would this be a good place to stop? X equals 6? No, because it says we have to show all the steps for getting LFM 70. Any ideas how I'm going to get there? Here's LFM right here. So if I were to plug 6 in, I would get there. So let's say plug X in to angle LFM. Plug X into angle LFM. And let's show how to do that. Here's LFM. We're going to plug a 6 in there. Don't get so concerned with, I don't know how to write it or what to say, how to phrase it. Just start writing and explain it in your own words. If you see a vocab word like midpoint or bisect, use that. If you're using angle addition postulate or segment addition postulate, write about that. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to start 4, and then we will talk about it.
Little bit. I go when he gets back.
Shut up, Luke.
Adrian, if you want some more time before I go over it. Does your paper say midpoint? Okay, so you might say because of midpoint, or midpoint tells me this, midpoint means this, however you want to phrase it. I'm going to say if M is the midpoint and AM equals 9, then MB equals 9. Let me read that again. If M is the midpoint and AM is 9, then MB is 9. You have to have midpoint in there. You have to say something about one side is 9, the other side is 9. Now, maybe you did this next. 9 plus 9 is 18. That is true. Didn't you just add up segments to get the whole segment? Right? That's segment addition postulate. Seems pretty basic. Maybe you didn't even think about that in your head. But if we're trying to get this whole thing, we add up the two segments to get the bigger one. So I'm going to say, because of segment addition postulate, nine plus 9 gives AB. So 18 is AB. Because of segment addition postulate, 9 plus 9 equals the whole thing, AB. And then 9 and 9 is 18.